Dzukill began playing League of Legends in Season 3 as a casual player. He played mostly normal games and made it to level 30, where he began trying out different roles. In Season 5, he gravitated to mid lane and decided to try out the newly released champion, Yasuo. Immediately, he loved the champion and used it as part of his climb to Platinum in his first ranked season. As with most players, he was not satisfied with his new rank and knew that he could climb higher. In Season 6, he dedicated his time to his new favourite champion and learnt everything he could about how to play Yasuo. By the end of the season, he had improved to Diamond 3. His goal for Season 7 was to go even higher. At this point, he began to play more top lane Yasuo rather than mid lane, as he simply enjoyed the role more. For the next 2 seasons, he continued to practice Yasuo as much as he could, making it all the way to Diamond 1 in this new lane. He dropped in and out of Masters, but could never make it all the way up to Challenger. In Season 9, he fully committed to the top lane playstyle, playing Flash TP Yasuo every game, during a time where Yasuo's ban rate skyrocketed to an all-time high. After years of practicing the champion, he was able to play it consistently, and finally made it to Challenger, even reaching rank 6 on EU West, and ending the season at rank 10. In Season 10, Dzukill once again returned to Challenger with Yasuo, and from there he decided he needed a new challenge. Yone was released on August 6th, 2020, and immediately Dzukill picked him up, hoping he would have a similar playstyle to Yasuo. His dedication was rewarded as he began to really love the champion, and decided to apply his Yasuo top playstyle to Yone to see how far it would get him. He started a fresh account, and after 4 long months of work, Dzukill made it to Challenger. Dzukill's story shows how a dedication to a champion you enjoy can bring you success. And now let's have a look at how he made it all the way to Challenger with Yone top. Starting with the early game, Dzukill's early game philosophy on Yone and Yasuo has always been to try and figure out a way to dominate lane. He is looking for solo kills, CS advantages, XP leads, to make sure he is in a position to carry the game after laning ends. He has a few different strategies to make these happen. The first is freezing his lane. The purpose of this is to keep the wave as close to Dzukill's tower as possible, so that the enemy top needs to overextend to get CS and XP. This can feel like quite a boring thing to do, but it is actually one of the best ways of putting pressure on the enemy laner. If they step too far forwards, Yone can chase them down and get a kill. If they try to roam, Yone is getting solo CS and XP, generating a big lead. Dzukill uses this to get as much control as he can in the lane, and it pays off. The easiest way to freeze top lane is to hit the enemy wave as little as possible as the enemy pushes it. You can do this over and over for a few waves, with it slowly creeping closer and closer to your tower each time. Basically just hit the wave less than your opponent, and it will push towards you. Once it's in a good place, you can drag the wave with your body, stalling them at the bush, going in and out so they keep gaining and losing aggro until your wave turns up. It's now frozen in front of your tower, and you have a gank set up for the next few minutes at least. The other strategy Dzukill uses to get advantages is learning his matchups. He believes that experience and adaptation is the easiest way to improve. He believes that you should never make excuses like blaming an OP champion or jungle difference, and instead look for ways to win 1v1s or even 1v2s. This is a common difference between high elo and low elo players, and it is quite basic, but it has brought Dzukill to Challenger, so it is really worth reflecting on in your own play to make sure you are doing it as well. If Dzukill overextends and dies 1v1 to a Poppy after having his dash blocked, do you think he is blaming his jungler for it? Or is he realising he could have outplayed the Poppy W? Or even could have made a different decision earlier on to make sure he never even got into that bad situation? One mistake that happens in literally every solo queue game, no matter the rank, is one mistake leading to multiple future mistakes. For example, a mistake like a death top lane in 1v1 leads to a loss of pressure in lane, which gets your jungler invaded and can get them killed. If you're the top laner, you only need to fix the way that you died in lane, and the second death will then solve itself. Now back to matchups. Especially with a squishy, high damage champion like Yone, knowing windows where you can win 1v1 and windows where you have no chance at all is very important, and these all come with the experience and retained knowledge you get from playing in champion. If you lock in Yone and you're playing it first time against a Darius, you will struggle a lot and you'll likely feed. If Dzukill plays that matchup today, he will avoid death in lane and try to find a way to gain an XP advantage, so he can use that to power spike to kill the Darius. Some matchups are just easy and they'll instantly be won by a beginner Yone, but if you want to climb, you need a consistently high win rate against all champions like Dzukill has, so you need to be going even or getting ahead in every matchup, and he's figured out ways to do that. After laning phase, he sticks to his mantra, once again focused on getting advantages wherever he is on the map. If he has a good laning phase and he is ahead, he's happy to split and go for 1v2 fights, where he uses his practiced mechanics to go for outplays. He knows that these are very risky, but if they work, he will basically be too far ahead to lose the game. If he has not had a great laning phase, he instead tries to keep his lane pushed and go for picks when his Yone's ultimate is available. This can be through grouping or for going for fog of war plays on unsuspecting enemies. He also says that he sometimes even goes for short wave freezes to regain an advantage, but always keeps his eyes on the map ready to TP and match the enemy top laner to join a fight. As seen with some of these clips, the main way he goes for picks is a combo of E, R. If he's able to get his Q charge before that, then that's even better, so he can combo the Q knockup after the R to keep them in place for a 100-0 kill. Yone players rarely rely on the damage of their E return to finish off an enemy, as it's much lower than you may expect when starting off with the champion. It's nothing like Zed's Deathmark, for example, where you can basically guarantee a very high amount of damage after landing multiple shurikens. So making sure to weave in an extra couple of auto attacks or Qs before jumping back will always be optimal. The difference between a bad Yone and a challenger Yone is this 5-second window during your E. A good player will be very practiced in using E, finishing off kills during the duration. A bad Yone will miscalculate their damage, or choose the wrong target and return without a kill. The best way to fix this is more practice, and seeing how much damage you have on each item. If you practice the same combo once with 2 items, and you can kill the enemy AD carry, then it's likely you can do that again in a future game. If you compare this to how Dzukill fights an Ornn, he knows that 5 seconds is nowhere near long enough to get through his health bar, so he instead repurposes the E as an outplay tool to dodge Ornn's abilities, while he is spamming Q and auto-attacking Ornn to death. This will become especially important in the new season, where the build has changed slightly, as well as the playstyle. I'll give you the exact build and a rundown right after this, but basically he's become a bit more of an auto-attack based champion, where his E and R are more set up to get him in position so that he can use his auto-attack and Q over and over again for maximum damage. The playstyle of auto-attacking, like you're seeing in these Ornn clips, is going to be what you do most games now, especially during this tank meta that we're currently in, with Sunfire being very strong. Again, this is only the current meta, so this might have changed by the time preseason is over, and you might be back to this ER one-shotting crit build instead. For Season 11, Dzukill is optimistic about Yone and thinks that playing and building similarly should be a good strategy, as Yone will always have his strong kit to play off. But the current best Yone build is Zerka Greaves into new Ginsu's Rageblade. It is gold efficient to then get 2 Cloaks of Agility to max out your crit, and then get Immortal Shield Bow. These items create the highest damage version of Yone, alongside the Immortal Shield Bow, providing him with a new form of safety. In patch 10.24, many Yone mains are talking about how Kraken Slayer is being buffed, and how that may become the new go-to build. The trade-off with these 2 items is Shield Bow gives you lifesteal and survivability, whereas Kraken gives you more damage, especially when played as an auto-attack based champion. For Season 11, currently crit without Rageblade is not the best playstyle, just due to crit not being as good as it was before. It's the same reason AD carries are complaining about the new items and having a lack of damage. For now, the best build is Berserker Greaves, then Rageblade, then 2 Cloaks of Agility. You can also get the cloaks during the Rageblade build, it doesn't really matter. They give you good early game damage, and so does the Rageblade. You basically want Rageblade plus 2 cloaks, then you'll be at max crit and max early game damage. So then after that you get Shield Bow, then either Wit's End versus high magic damage enemy teams, Blade of the Ruin King versus high HP enemies like tanks, or Multiple Reminder against healing champions, as it's now more of a crit anti-heal item than it is great versus tanks as it used to be. Then Death's Dance is your 5th item, and finally Black Cleaver. By that point enemies should have armor, but if they don't you can instead get Guardian Angel instead of the Black Cleaver as your 6th item. For a crit build, which once again is not the strongest thing currently, but may be stronger by the start of the season, you can still go something like Berserker Greaves, Phantom Dancer, Infinity Edge, Shield Bow, and then Blade of the Ruin King or Bloodthirster, and then Guardian Angel. This crit build will be weaker up until late game, where the Rageblade build falls off, and then the crit build is stronger currently. But for solo queue, that normally means that the Rageblade build is better, because you normally don't get to full 6 item late game anyway. For his runes, Dzukill takes this page in easier matchups, or just ones where he needs more damage to go for solo kills. For example, against Camille, Scion, and Ornn. In slightly harder matchups, he pivots to resolve secondaries with this page, to let him survive all-ins a bit easier, for example versus Riven, Gangplank, or Shen. And against very hard matchups like ranged tops, he takes this page with Fleet Footwork instead to give him more sustain, for example versus Kennen, Volibear, or Akali. These are the kind of champions that can outdamage him or just CC him and kill him. For now, Yone does have a slightly different playstyle where he is forced to auto-attack more and weave in Qs between autos to do maximum DPS, rather than focusing on landing big ultimates or E assassinations. Partially, this is also due to the tank meta, with Sunfire being too strong, so auto-attack based builds will fare better into that before Sunfire gets nerfed. It's also partially due to game balance, where crit is just not that good. Once Season 11 starts, it may be best to return to the crit build, so I will link Dzukill's OPGG, so you can see what he is liking at the time you want to play. He also has a Twitch channel where you can ask him questions or watch him play, and I'll link that below. Thanks so much for watching, subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.